let's switch gears now. We actually have some big news coming in on the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard case. Johnny Depp, some breaking news here, has just now filed a notice of appeal with the Virginia Court of Appeals. You'll recall that it was an overwhelming verdict in favor of Johnny Depp in the defamation case against his ex-wife Amber Heard over that Washington Post op-ed that she wrote in 2018 about him. But she won on one of her defamation claims against Johnny Depp, and that was pertaining to some statements made by Adam Waldman, who is one of his attorneys and advisors, very close to Johnny Depp. And he had told the Daily Mail back in 2020 that basically Amber Heard and her friends had created a hoax, an abuse hoax, and that they had roughed up the penthouse, spilled a little bit of wine, called the cops, got them to come there, and they were really trying to lay the groundwork to do something quite sinister. So she was awarded $2 million by the jury. Johnny Depp would have to pay that. And so a lot of people took issue with this because Adam Waldman was acting as Johnny Depp's agent, and that was part of the jury instructions in the case. And a lot of people took issue with that because he was an independent contractor making a statement on behalf of Johnny Depp. So they're preserving this line of appeal for Johnny Depp. There's a statement that I just received from Johnny Depp's people. They said they feel this was an overwhelmingly positive verdict for Johnny Depp, but if Ms. Heard is determined to pursue further litigation by appealing the verdict, Mr. Depp is filing a concurrent appeal to ensure that the full record and all relevant legal issues are considered by the Court of Appeal. There was another statement yesterday after Amber Heard filed a notice of appeal. It said the jury listened to the extensive evidence presented during the 6-week trial and came to a clear and unanimous verdict that the defendant herself defamed Mr. Depp in multiple instances. We remain confident in our case and that this verdict will stand. So, Catherine, I'll start with you. You know, this is our topic. We talk about this all the time, whether it's here on the air or on Sidebar. We were anticipating this, you and I were. So we know Amber Heard filed her notice of appeal yesterday. Now Johnny Depp, just now, filing his notice of appeal with the Court of Appeals. So your thoughts on Johnny Depp saying, look, I'm confident in the verdict, but I'm moving forward because if you're going to pursue this even further, I'm going to pursue an appeal on this one too.
It is no surprise that he filed the notice of appeal today because, like we talked about yesterday during Sidebar, that was coming. I expected that to come soon, especially since he added an Exhibit D to the final order of the judgment. And that's very unusual, as I mentioned, and it just signals that he is prepared to take this to the next level, which would be filing an appeal. And it's interesting how Johnny Depp's team said that since Amber Heard wants to continue the litigation through appeal, then we have to file a counter appeal. That signals to me that there might have been talks as to making sure that she doesn't appeal. If you don't appeal, then we won't appeal. But if you make this type of action of filing a notice of appeal, we will have no choice but to file our counter appeal, and which they did. And I think it's a good thing for them, for Johnny Depp to file the appeal, because that statement at issue that John Waldman made, it was so convoluted in terms of there's many facts there that could be confusing to the jury and could be construed as not really something that should have been imputed to Johnny Depp. So as a lawyer, I'm looking forward to knowing that question of law as to what extent is your statement as a lawyer get imputed to your client.
Most certainly. And what I thought was odd about this, and it makes you wonder, Mark Weaver, if this was some sort of compromise verdict, because Adam Waldman offered testimony. He said he spoke to, I think, either 9 or 11 people, and he said he did his due diligence. He felt that this was truly a hoax. So your thoughts on that, on a client being found liable by a jury for the words of his lawyer acting as his agent?
Well, principals are often responsible for the acts of their agent, depending on what they knew about it. But I do think this feels like a compromise verdict. Jurors often reach compromise verdicts. You know, they didn't teach this one part in civil procedure when I was in law school, but I think what's happening here is that settlement occurs when each side has something to dismiss. And so this very may well result in each side agreeing to a lesser amount of money than the verdict in return for this being dismissed. So sometimes filing appeals are just the first step towards reaching a negotiated settlement where everybody dismisses all of their actions, a smaller amount check gets written, and everybody goes their own way. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I've seen it happen before.
Most certainly. And we know that Amber Heard, the judgment against her, all three counts, Johnny Depp ran the table on that, $10.35 million. That is the amount the jury awarded him in damages. So Amber Heard filed her notice of appeal on Thursday, saying she's moving forward with the appeal. We know they've said she doesn't have the cash to pay this judgment. So let's put up her statement on the screen, because her spokesperson put out a statement, and it says, "We believe the court made errors that prevented a just and fair verdict consistent with the First Amendment. We are therefore appealing the verdict. While we realize today's filing will ignite the Twitter bonfires, there are steps we need to take to ensure both fairness and justice." Signed, spokesperson for Amber Heard. So we've talked about those Twitter bonfires, Catherine Lizardo. We've seen Amber Heard's people light quite a few Twitter bonfires themselves. I mean, obviously there are a number of, thousands of Johnny Depp supporters on Twitter, and they are very active. But there have been quite a few bombs thrown by her people on Twitter. A professor from Stanford, notably, who we've requested an interview with, and also one of her close friends. So your thoughts on that statement?
Well, we saw yesterday already how that bonfire is sparking and just spreading like wildfire. And I'm sure today that will happen as well with Johnny Depp's appeal. And what's interesting about Amber Heard's statement there is it gives us a glimpse of what argument she will be presenting for appeal, which is the First Amendment argument that they've been trying to present at trial and even on their post-trial motion to overturn the verdict. But here's the thing, we don't know all of her arguments right now because the appellate briefs won't be due until about 40 days when the record and appeal is ready. And right now what's happening is that Judge Escarati's court clerk is preparing the record on appeal, and they have about 90 days to do that from the notice of appeal. So Johnny Depp's team and Amber Heard's team are also making sure that the record on appeal are accurate, because they will be limited with that record and appeal. It's not a new trial. When you go on an appeal, the three appellate judges will have to look at what happened in the lower court based on that record and appeal. So we'll see what their briefs will say. It will be a very thick brief for both parties, I assume.
And Mark Weaver, they've both paid the $500 appeals bond that is separate from the suspension bond. So each side is going to have to pony up the judgment plus 6% annually once they file the appeal. And it's my understanding they do that so you just can't appeal to avoid paying. So the interest is almost like a penalty of sorts. So Amber Heard's going to have to pony up the $10.35 million plus the 6% annually. Then Johnny Depp putting up the $2 million plus 6% annually. So that's a lot of cash. Catherine and I were talking about this yesterday. It makes you wonder. Amber Heard, we know her insurance company has been paying for her defense more than $8 million, we understand at this point. Does an insurance company, do you think they would put the money up for the bond?
Well, it depends on the policy that you have, but you're right. The purpose of the bond is to keep people from frivolously appealing if they don't have any money to pay the judgment. And so the court system wants to keep people honest. It's a little bit like high stakes poker, that you keep putting money into the game in hopes of winning some back. But let's not forget, this case was as much about reclaiming the image of Johnny Depp and making sure he could continue to be a bankable box office star as it was the law. And I think he largely achieved what he wanted to achieve. I don't think he'll have any trouble getting new movies. She might, and so she obviously would like to see things turn. But there are no good appeals in the court of public opinion, and I think that court has already ruled.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. All right, we are going to take a quick break. Mark and Catherine are both staying with us, which we're very happy about. But we are going to take that break, and when we come back, more on Nicholas Cruz. So stay with us. You are watching For the Record on Law and Crime.